Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. We are back. Match preview time. Walsall at home to Bromley. We've got Gab Sutton here. He's been keeping an eye on those tricky customers at Bromley. They've got to be over the moon, haven't they? Andy Woodman and his team.
Yeah, they'll be. Bromley will be raving about their stat. They nickname the Ravens. I think Bromley are a very rock solid team. Very strong defensively. I think they've got one of the best defensive records in the league. They've got a really clinical goal scorer in Michael Cheek, who's up there among the top goal scorers in League Two again this year. Yeah. And they're also a very good set piece side. They've got a centre half called Omar Shomi, who's
Shiwamni, yeah, he's
exactly.
He's a tricky customer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 6'6", so he's going to be one to keep an eye on. Him against Aidan Flint could be a very interesting battle.
Is he like the Bromley equivalent of Aidan Flint?
Yeah, I mean, I think Aidan's probably a bit more cultured than Amar, but he's a very powerful centre half. I think he is in the middle of their back three. I suppose you can draw the parallel. I think Aidan probably would back himself with his championship experience to be able to spray passes to the wing backs, whereas Shiwamni's probably not going to do that.
But Shiwamni, two in the last 3 games, he's be overtaking Michael Cheek, wouldn't he?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So Bromley have kind of got 3 goal scorers, I think, off the top of my head. They've got Michael Cheek, who's one of the top goal scorers in the division. They've got, like you say, Omar Shomi, who's scored a lot of goals from set pieces because of his height and physical presence. And they've also got Nick Kabamba, who...
he's a new player for him, isn't he?
Yeah, who's maybe not starting all the time because they don't always play with top under Andy Woodman, but he's a threat from the bench as well. So one to watch in the second half, perhaps.
I know 5 wins out of the last 6. They are the form team of the division. 5 wins and 1 draw in the last 6. Walsall just 2 wins, a draw and 2 defeats. Walsall have had a bit of a wobble, haven't they?
I think, yes. I think if you look at performances, though, I think they've lost 5 games this season. I think of those 5 defeats, they've probably been at least shaded the game in probably 3 of them. Because I was at the Grimsby game where definitely a draw would have been a fair result, if not maybe you shaded that one. The Barrow game where I'm like, okay, Barrow had 10 men, but like, how did you not get something from that? Like, Will Stanway had an amazing game.
Stanway, he was just stopped everything, didn't he? Great.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm sure there might be 1 or 2 other examples of that. So I think Walsall have been
the Cheltenham game. We absolutely battered Cheltenham.
Yeah,
couldn't score, and then they got a goal late on.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, I think you're top of the league, and you probably could have a few more points. So that's how I would look at it.
Looking at the possession stats, they're similar to Walsall, really, aren't they? They don't hold on to the ball that long, but they're very decisive with it when they get it. So it's,
exactly.
In some respects.
Sure. Yeah, I think Bromley are very direct. They're a real set piece team, I would say. One thing that's always stood out to me about Bromley since they've come up is they're very good at making the opposition play worse than they normally would, and they're kind of like. They remind me a bit of Wickham from 10 years ago or so, where they're a bit of an up and coming club. Don't mind the dark arts. Don't mind sort of being a bit gnarly and getting in your face. And they're very, and they're very well organised as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. It was good on Saturday to see the Priest return. So I think. We need the Priest for this game because I think Rico Brown against more physical opposition has struggled a little bit. I am worried about Priest. He was very good on Saturday, but previous to that, when he made appearances, he had a temptation to just grab strikers and just move them out the way, and conceded some fouls doing that. So hopefully he's got that out of his system. But with Flint, Priest and Evan Weir at the back, that's a lot more solid. Obviously, Harrison Burke's not going to be not back just yet.
I suppose one thing I'd be curious about, Simon, and maybe throwing it over to you, is Bromley. We know that they've got that physicality defensively, and they're probably going to be quite good at defending crosses into the box, which has been quite a main thing of Walsall. It's hitting Aaron Presley and playing from there. Do you think that you're going to be able to adapt and try and find a different way to carve them open?
Well, Walsall and finding a different way is not really something that we say very often. So that would be a concern. But we have changed things around a little bit. Elvis Aaron Presley is not going to be about. He's got a hamstring injury. Jamil Matt came back to good effect on Saturday. So Jamil Matt will be playing, which as far as set piece is concerned, Jamil Matt is a real good addition. Nice flick he put Daniel Carnu through for his goal. So that was good. And he seemed back to his best on Saturday. I know we could sort of say it was only Harrogate, but you can only beat.
So the point I would make on that, Simon, is Harrogate don't really have particularly dominant centre halves. I think they've got intelligent enough defenders, but they're not physical specimen. Whereas Bromley have got Deji Elariwe, who was at Charlton as a youngster, Omar Shomi, who we've mentioned. They're going to be really physical, defending their own penalty area because they're a very compact team. I would really struggle to put too much faith in Jamil Matt. So I think this is going to be literally all about, can we get the ball into Jidakike or Barrett? Can they make those cutbacks rather than crosses? Because that's one area where I would say you might have some joy. Bromley, they're waiting for the aerial cross into the box. Can you cut a ball back and get a midfielder running onto things rather than necessarily trying to win? Because I think if you try and win aerial duels against Bromley centre half, I don't think that's a battle that you're going to win. So I think Walsall have to find other ways of hurting them.
In some ways I'd prefer to see Jammer up against Shuamni than Elvis, to be honest. But I think there's one guy who's been a finisher for us as far as finishing the game. The new phrase of finisher that seems to be popularised now. Albert Adoma. Now, he's the kind of player that breaks teams down and gets that intelligence in there. And I think we could say the same of Jidakike as well. Kike came in for Connor Barrett, so it was nice to see Connor Barrett have a break.
Yeah, something we didn't see last season.
Yeah. As you say, some of the criticism last season was overplaying him. So giving him a break, I think, worked. In the middle, Ryan Finnegan, first half against Harrogate, it was like, when's he going to really sort of realise that there's a battle every game? But second half, it was like somebody flicked a switch in him, and he was really combative second half, and he sort of transformed the team, really. Lakin sort of back into the midfield on the left-hand side made a lot of sense as well. Warrington, he's perhaps not the one for the biggest battle. So I think Comley I think many Saddlers fans would prefer Comley in any situation.
So I don't know if I agree with that. I think I'm expecting Bromley to be quite a deep block team. I'm not expecting a super high press from them. I think they're going to be quite compact. So I think there's going to be lots of time, certainly in the second half, if not the first, where the player at the base of midfield is going to have a lot of space. I don't think Comley is the kind of midfielder that's going to make the most of that necessarily, because I think his passing range is quite limited, even though
Warrington,
whereas I think Warrington is probably the kind of technical footballer who could give and go and maybe get moves going. Because again, this is the thing. You want to be able to open teams up to meet the needs of the opposite of the match, if you like. So if Bromley are deep, you've got to be good at playing football in front of them and being a bit more selective in how you open them up. Because I don't think the longer, the more direct play is going to come off. So I think I would actually start Warrington if it was me making the choice.
No, I think that's a fair point. I think Walsall do tend to go long early, often. So I think we'll come unstuck against Bromley if we do that.
Possibly,
As we
yeah.
look at it now, I think Walsall's chances are going to be from Daniel Carnu and Evan Weir from free kicks. I can't see where other goals are going to be coming.
I'm really. Can I just ask you about Daniel Carney, because he's someone who I've been really impressed with from what I've seen. I think he's a really exciting forward.
Yeah, the watching the goal against, if you watch back the goal against Harrogate, as I say, Jamil Matt had sort of put him through, but he had plenty to do, and there was a heavy challenge came in that he rode, and then where most young strikers would have tried to shoot at that point, he just sort of bided his time, put the defender on his arse, sort of thing, and then stroked it home. And it was that composure in front of goal which sort of proves that he is a guy that's got a real good future in the league and in the division and career, as it were. So, yeah, really pleased with him. It's the composure in front of goal. The goal he scored in the cup, absolutely sensational goal. But that ball from Evan Weir down the channel, where Konu pulls across the right-sided centre half, and gets into that channel there. That's something that's been, obviously they'll be aware of that and protecting against that. But I mean, that's a space that he gets into. His movement is quite good.
Yeah.
And then you've got the recent addition of Kemar Roof.
Of course, yeah.
Who's had a couple of cameos off the bench.
Is he ready to start, do you think, Si?
No, he's not ready to start. But I think as a finisher, if the game's still even Steven going into the last 20 minutes, he's a guy that maybe should come on. He's been coming on for Daniel Carnu. He could be a guy that sort of finds his way through with the likes of Albert Adama sort of picking him out. And we know Adama can do that.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be down to the finishers whether we're going to win the game. And we're just going to be solid defensively. And that's where the Priest, Flint and Evan Weir are coming in, of course.
Yeah, I would maybe try and give Kemar Roof, if it's possible, try and give him half an hour if you're still drawing or losing going into that period, just because I do think that he can bring a different level of quality. I did want to ask you actually, Si, how long's the Prez out for at the moment?
Elvis. We don't know exactly. I think it's just a hamstring strain. I don't think it's anything too significant. But I think it's probably just a couple of games. Maybe he'll be ready again for next week, perhaps.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Ready for the Christmas rush.
Yeah.
But I think
I would definitely be in the market for possibly another target man in January. Someone to rotate with Aaron Presley, who can bring that same sort of physical capability, because otherwise he's going to be bombarded with starts, and that's going to be asking a lot of him, I think.
And the thing as having Jamil Matt as a backup to him is one thing, but I think if we want to sustain it this year, this season, and get promoted, just relying on Elvis and Jamil Matt as the target guys is perhaps hoping for a bit much, really.
Well, yeah, I think I've huge amount of respect for Jamil Matt. I think he's had a fantastic football league career and been one of the best target men in League Two over the last 10 years or so. So, yeah, full respect to Jamil, but to Jama. But for me, I think he's the last 5-10 minutes guy. I don't think he's the guy that you rotate with Elvis, because I don't think that his ability to be on it against the ball from minute 1 to minute 90 is the same. So it's really hard to give him enough starts to sort of ease the workload on Elvis, or really have that, freely interchange.
He played the 90 minutes, or pretty much the 90 minutes against Harrogate. But in all fairness to Harrogate, that wasn't the toughest game we're going to have.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree with you there. January, quite often, is when it all goes pear-shaped for Walsall. Our star striker will disappear. and then we won't really replace him.
Daniel, so Simon, I think Matt Sadler's going to be locking up Daniel Carney, or the best Scot from the 1st of January to the 31st.
We don't want him scoring too many goals, do we? That's it. That's
keep him out of the 18.
On stats, he's not far behind Nathan Lowe on league goals.
Yeah,
last season, I think he's ahead of Freddie Draper. So he's certainly putting himself in there. I thought Charlton had played him in the league before we had him, but it was just in the EFL Trophy, which doesn't qualify.
Right.
So if they were to take him, they could move him to a upper league, and would be able to play him again in a higher division. But I think it was a big mistake from Stoke taking Nathan Lowe away from Walsall. Not for Walsall's benefit. I think it sort of messed up Nathan Lowe for 6 months. He's sort of getting back in gear now.
This is the thing. If he'd won Player of the Year at Walsall and won a league title and really kickstarted his career, I think that would have made a huge difference. Whereas because he went back to Stoke and ended up making a couple of appearances from the bench, and he played an FA Cup game, it sort of his season kind of fizzled out. So I can understand why Mark Robins made that decision, because Stoke had their own sort of immediate needs on the pitch. But I can see the effect that might have had on Nathan Lowe. And
I think Charlton have a lot of strikers, don't they?
Yeah, they've also got a lad called Micah Mbick, who you're probably familiar with from Colchester. So I think so. Yes, a couple of really good strikers at the Valley.
Yeah, so I think it's unlikely that he's going to go back. A fourth consecutive heartbreak.
Not again, please.
would be too. We were saying that last year.
Give yourselves a break.
I know. Yeah, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Can Walsall do it this year is the question, and I suppose a lot of that depends on what happens in January and when we can sort of make the tweaks to our formation. Obviously, Matt Sadler's not going to switch from his basic 3-5-2 or 3-1-4-2 or whatever it is, but he needs to make some tweaks. The change he made on Saturday with Al-Kiki playing instead of Connor Barrett, I can imagine that sort of upset Harrogate quite a lot, because they would have been ready for Connor Barrett, and Al-Kiki, more physical, more pace. He had a really good game. So,
I like that. I really like that you've got that competition there, and I think that we've got to bear in mind, Simon, that wing back's such a physically demanding role, because you've got to be back defensively as part of the back five, out of possession in terms of supporting the right centre half, whether that's Rique Brown or somebody else, Priest. But you've also got to be the one providing the attacking width and getting up and providing the crosses. So I think having someone who can split the workload, and you maybe one of you plays 30 games and the other plays 16 or something. I think that's really healthy.
Well, that's sensible.
Sure. So can I ask you? Sorry, go on. Sorry.
What I was going to say with Jidakiki or Al-Kiki. Going forward, I think he's really exciting player. Defensively, I'm not so sure. He does at times. Basically, every time the ball comes to him, he wants to go forward and have a run with it. Where sometimes he needs to just hold his position.
I get what you're saying, Simon. I think my perspective on this is that for the way the formation works, you're kind of relying on the outside centre half to be the 1v1 guy that is really quick and strong and gets into challenges. And the wing back, you want them to be there, other than in transition where you are going to be caught high up the pitch and it is going to be tough to get back. You want them to be in position, but you kind of make some allowances because you sort of expect the right centre half to be good, and there's probably the onus is more on them, I would say, from the defensive standpoint. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, having the Priest there on Saturday, that sort of gave us a lot more protection in that portion, which is exactly as you're saying. Really, So if we go into the same formation,
you had a couple of like Harrison Burke and was it Dan Cox, the lad known from Derby?
Yeah, Harrison Burke had a knee injury. He's back in training now, but he's not quite ready for the first team yet, I don't think.
Right.
But I think probably be January really before we see him again.
Okay.
Or maybe a few cameos before that. Daniel Cox, he was playing on the left side, and he got caught out a little bit in a few games. So I think he's maybe not quite ready.
Right.
The Virtue Trophy is a good place for him to sort of get practice. Again, he's another player, a left-sided centre half, good going forward, but not so good defensively. So, right. But he's a young player applying his trade and that sort of thing. So it's still a little challenge for him. One of the players we haven't mentioned is 32-year-old Grant Smith in goal for Bromley. He's been with them a long time now, but he's some keeper, isn't he? For that level.
Yeah, he's a very good shot stopper. I think one of the reasons why he maybe hasn't had offers higher up is partly because lots of clubs prioritise younger players who they feel like have got that saleable asset, and maybe they want someone that's more of a play out from the back type thing. But that's why Grant Smith is one of the best goalkeepers in the division. He's having a fantastic season with Bromley. Had a little bit of experience at this level, I believe, with Stevenage a few years ago. So yeah, a very good goalkeeper that Bromley have got, and one of the reasons why their defensive record is so strong.
Yeah, just looking at the game, Salford they defeated Salford 2-0. In that game, Salford had 15 shots to their 10, 5 on target to their 3. But Bromley beat them 2-0. So that's sort of he had 5 saves, Grant Smith, to their 1.
Yeah.
So that's another challenge to get through that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the way Bromley play, they probably I don't know if the stats back this out actually, so I might have a little look, but I'm pretty sure that the way they play, because they are very compact and they can be quite deep, it means that they do invite shots, but often the shots can be from a deeper position. Yeah, exactly. So if I was to have a look at the defensive team stats on who scored, just give me a moment. Shots per game against Bromley. Okay, yeah. So they've had roughly 11 shots against them per game. That's not as many as I thought, actually. But yeah, so they're very good defensively and stop the opposition from really creating chances against them, which is one of their strengths.
So why is it that Bromley are doing so well? Last season they're sort of round about mid-table most of the season, weren't they?
They're top half last season. Yeah.
What is it that sort of propelled them into third? Obviously, a good win at Barrow. Beating Colchester at their place is a superb result. Beating MK as well at home. Yeah. And beating Crewe.
So I would put it down to 3 things, Simon. I think firstly, they're a very good set piece side, which I mentioned, because when you've got a 6'6" centre half to aim for from set pieces, not only does Omar Shomi score a lot of goals himself, but he can also have that sort of knockdown and flick on sort of impact. So they're a very good set piece side, and also they've got quality. Someone like Mitch Pinnock was part of Northampton's rise under John Brady, so he can deliver some really good deliveries as well from set pieces. So Pinnock's definitely going to be one to watch. Second point would be they've got Michael Cheek, who's one of the best goal scorers in the division. So they don't need as many goals from around the rest of the park if they've got him scoring goals, and they're good from set pieces, as I mentioned. And then thirdly, I think they just have this ability to make their opponents worse, because they're willing to they're not shy to the dark arts. They'll put challenges in. They're a little bit like Wycombe Wanderers under Gareth Ainsworth about 10 years ago, where they'll come to disrupt the opposition and they'll make it hard for them, and I think they've got some really good core principles, and added to that, I think that's why it means when they're not at their best from a footballing standpoint and they're maybe not creating the chances, they don't lose games because they've only lost 3 of their first 17 league matches this season. And that shows you that, which is the joint fewest defeats in League Two. So that shows you that they're very good at kind of landing on a draw when they're maybe not at their best. And in a tight league, that kind of thing can be the difference. So 3 reasons: very good set piece side. They've got Michael Cheek, who's a goal scorer, and they make their opponents worse.
Yeah, I think so. The question is with Walsall. So I think in some ways, because of Walsall's high press, we do a little bit similar, I think, where we sort of rush teams into making mistakes.
I think you're a bit more aggressive and play higher at the pitch than possibly Bromley do, but yeah, I can see the similarity for sure.
Yeah, and we've got to get at them and put them on the back foot, and I think an early goal and perhaps try and bring them out a little bit, and then it's one of those. It's always the most important goal, isn't it? The first.
Can I ask you a question, Simon?
Go on.
When it comes to, we mentioned January earlier, where do you think Walsall are going to need to strengthen in January?
Well, Kemar Roof is cover for Daniel Carnu. That's just a short-term contract. So I'm not sure what had happened with that. And given the 2 years of injury woes he's had, that would be a concern if we were just going in with those 2. And as you already mentioned, with Elvis and Jammer, I think we definitely need another striker in there that sort of can do a similar role, so something in between the 2.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of sort of Carnu and Roof in some games playing up front, but that would mean we'd sort of need to change the system slightly and play with a cam, which we haven't got a cam really.
You play with a 6 and 2 8s really, rather than 2 6s and a 10.
Yeah, that's it. Got the CDM and the 2 8s. So I think defensively, if Mason Hancock recovers, that gives us the cover on the left-hand side. Vinny Harper has struggled at times in games.
Yeah.
I think despite his diminutive nature, he's done well. But I mean, he is a player that's previously had injury concerns, and with Mason Hancock being out for a long-term injury, so I think we do need cover there. Jidakike, perhaps, if he stays with us for the season, he could make that cover. Really, I think it's the most difficult thing is getting strikers in, and that's what we need. We did think that Ronan Mayer was going to sort of feature in the midfield this season, but
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind Ronan Mayer as an option off the bench just to provide something different. I can understand Matt Sadler's sort of commitment to his vision and his blueprint, but there is part of me that thinks, oh, could you do with someone who's a bit different, someone who can create and slide things through?
Yeah, I think Courtney Clark has sort of been a revelation. It didn't work starting him as much. He's much better as an impact sub. He's the kind of guy I think that needs a goal maybe to sort of get him up and running.
I thought he looked quite good against Barrow when I saw him. So I don't mind Courtney Clark. Yeah, he
did good. Jamie Jellis seems off it a little bit. I know he's had a groin injury of late. But James Jelly hasn't really hit the heights he hit last season at the moment. So
do you feel like there's been a lot of rotation in midfield? Last season, Simon, I would know that it would always be Jamie Jellis, Ryan Steck at the base and Charlie Lakin. Whereas this year it feels harder to pin down, doesn't it? I mean, on the one hand, there's more rotation and players are kept fresher. But on the other hand, do you think that there can be, you maybe lose a little bit of... what's the word? A synergy, a sort of.
I think so, a little bit. I think because Walsall have a very clear system and a very clear pattern of play, it's easier in some respects for players to slot in. But I think it's important we mention Ryan Finnegan. Ryan Finnegan has sort of improved of late, but the Blackpool boss inferred that he would only be with us till January. So. So if we're going to need another guy in midfield in January, maybe that could be an option of somebody who's more comfortable as a cam, perhaps.
I don't know. I don't see you signing a Cam if he's not using Ronan Mayer. Then I sort of why would you sign? You've got the perfect guy there. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a frustrating one with Ronan Mayer. We do mention on most fan chats. We end up mentioning him.
I've never heard a player that's barely featured yet. I mean, I'm not sure he started double figures of games for Walsall, and yet we talk about him a lot, which is
well. I had the same situation with Shay Willock.
Yeah.
I thought Shay Willock.
The young target man who's on loan in non-league.
Yeah, now they sold him or they let him go.
Oh yeah, they let him go. Yeah.
So he's back at Worcester, I think, or could be Walsall. I'm not sure.
Right.
I really thought he was destined for greatness, and I was wrong. Unless his time is still to come, I think as he matures, maybe he'll sort of find his place and he'll come through the leagues because a very composed finisher is massive. Is massive for any team, but it seems like it's not happening at the moment. So I can't be right all the time or often. Anyway, I've just got a comment on here. Richard, that's mad, or that's mad. Gillingham fan.
I thought is that a surname or a Richard as in that's mad?
I think it might be because he's mad because he's a Gillingham fan. Because Gillingham are doing well and then they sort of fell off the face.
Yeah.
And they seem to be starting getting things together again now. So Gillingham are an interesting one, sort of getting back up there. If you remember pre-season with predictions, there was one team I predicted to finish bottom 8 who currently fifth from bottom, Bristol Rovers. What's happening there?
Oh wow, you were spot on about that, weren't you? Yeah, I think they've got some off-field issues. The Al-Said's question marks over some interference there. Matt Taylor struggled there. Darryl Clark struggled there. These are good Football League managers who have done well at other clubs. So, I think something's a bit amiss there. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you'll have to wear the T-shirt that says Simon was right.
Simon was right once, I think.
Once. Yeah, exactly.
Right then. So here's the crux of it now. Score prediction for Saturday.
I'm going to go 0-0.
0-0. Do you know?
Because I think Bromley are going to sit in. I think they're going to stifle Walsall, and I think Walsall are going to try crossing it into the box because they're very process-driven and big on their playing identity. But I don't think that their identity is actually going to work that well for this type of match because Bromley are going to be too good at defending their penalty area. So I think it's going to be 0-0.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one. Might be a single goal either way to decide it. Yeah, well, I say Walsall have had a bit of a bump in the road, and with Bromley's current form, you would expect them to sort of approach it in a very positive manner. So it's perhaps one of the toughest games. The toughest game is always the next one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with Walsall, got I think 4 away games to follow this. It's one where Walsall could really do with 3 points if we're going to maintain our grasp of the top.
Who do you know who you've got to play away from home, Simon, coming up?
Let me just get it up. We've got got the Oldham away and Gateshead away.
Oh, that's the FA Cup, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but that sort of makes up.
Okay.
Where's it gone? I was finding it. Hang on, it's just disappeared a second. Oh, dear.
Yeah, but I think, very curious.
We've got Stevenage away in the trophy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Which is a tough one. Gateshead away in the cup. Then Oldham away. Oh, and then we only got 3 games. And then at home to Shrewsbury. We'll be looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
And then away
That's
to...
a bit of a derby, isn't it, Shrewsbury?
Yeah. I think we fancy beating Shrewsbury, but then you never know. I think in some ways Walsall recently have sort of slightly put to bed the can't beat the teams at the bottom game that we've had.
Yeah.
With,
I don't really buy that. I think you're better than. I think you'll show that. I think you'll beat some of the teams. Well, you've won at Newport and Harrogate, haven't you? So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think you're better than those kind of teams.
And Bristol Rovers, yeah, I predicted it. Can you believe it? I guess something right.
What?
I think I don't know many people who would have predicted Bromley to be third at the minute.
No, I think I had the mid-table this season.
Yeah. I think they'll be absolutely cock a hoop with that. But yeah, nice one, Gabriel. I know we need to crack on. I've got a big show on tonight. I've got Swifty from the ground, the Walsall mascot. He's here for a very special show tonight at 7:00. So tune in for that and all that business. That'll be good. Got some special guests on that as well, and we will be additionally talking about Saturday's game. Gabriel, thanks very much for joining us.
Cheers, Simon.
And you're going to be there, aren't you? So
I am, yeah. So feel free to say hello.
Well, that's it. I'll say hello, and then maybe we'll have a post-match catch-up at some point.
Absolutely.
Cheers, mate. And everybody, thanks for watching.